Welcome to the channel. You're watching Texas Silver. I have Adam back with me again by popular request. I meant to get out a couple videos before this, but it's just so much has been going on. And I knew once Adam came over, we were going to do a video. He's going to go hunting again. So my place is in the middle on the way to where he's going. So he stays here. Plus it gives us a chance to make videos. And speaking of Adam, there was a number of comments in my comment section saying that Adam needed to have his own channel, that he was well-spoken and knowledgeable, which I agree. So I somewhat pushed him, and so he is going to start a channel, and I'll let him talk about it just a little bit.
Sure. The channel is Full Bore Silver, bore as in bore of a gun barrel. And what we're going to do is talk about silver price action, technical analysis, macroeconomic events, international demand, the spoofing and manipulation that the big banks do, and recent highs, where silver might be going price per ounce wise. General overview. I watch a lot of the big channels and then do technical analysis and trading, futures wise, stocks, options, and so kind of aggregating all that information, and hopefully I can help a few people out.
Cool. Yeah, he's very good when it comes to all the technical stuff. I don't understand all that, but he does day trading and all that. I just buy the physical, put it back. Are you going to have anything like preparations or anything like that? Or are you just sticking to silver?
Yeah, we might sidetrack a little bit onto preparations, maybe even some hunting, food storage, water, ammo, all that good stuff, but it's primarily going to be silver.
Yeah, cool. All right, yeah, I just hadn't asked you that. I figured it was going to be mainly that, but I wasn't sure what you were going to do. Because for the most part, I talk about silver on this channel, but I'll talk a little bit about gold and then preparations and all that. But I guess let's get into it. I didn't write any notes for this. I'm just going to have a conversation with a good buddy of mine. I know he has some stuff that he wanted to talk about. But the last, what has it been, about 3 weeks have been crazy. We had a good pullback. What was it, about $8-10 from the highs?
Sure.
I know someone's gonna beat us up. Okay, it wasn't all-time highs adjusted for inflation, but nominal
Price per ounce.
Yeah,
Yes.
price per, yeah, the highest. And we were looking at the spot price. I was looking on SD. And it was a little over $59 an ounce. And then you said the futures were...
Sure. Futures were breaking through 59.50, and wow. Incredible strength here in the off hours. International markets driving it, unprecedented demand. Shanghai Gold Exchange, China, India, South Korea. Just read that South Korea put in a $76 billion order through Shanghai Gold Exchange. So more and more of the Western paper markets are less of a factor, and a lot of the silver market is shifting to the east, which is interesting.
Right. So yeah, everything that I'm hearing, it's probably going to be $60 to $70 an ounce by the end of the year, which, I mean, we're at 60, so I follow Michael Oliver. He made that call. Looks like he's going to be right on that more than likely. But a lot of other people that I follow are calling for that. And then most people are saying $100 silver by next year. I don't, most are just saying next year, but Michael Oliver, he's put his neck out there and he's saying, I think he said by April.
Sure.
So I don't know if that's beginning of April, end of April, but so...
it's an incredible confluence of events that's happened in 2025. So we have unprecedented money printing. The Fed is using the Repo instrument to inject more liquidity into the markets. S&P recently at an all-time high, dollar debasement, but again, the international demand. But just looking at the Fed repo, and I want to get this right, so this is all since October 31st of this year. $50 billion October 31st, the Fed injected more liquidity into these markets. Late November, another $24 billion. early December, as in yesterday, another 13.5 billion. This morning, 3 billion in the AM, and then this afternoon, 9.25 billion. So you're looking at $100 billion infused basically in the last month. Liquidity. It seems like crazy frenetic behavior. Part of me thinks that this is some sort of veiled bank bailout. Yeah. There is some sort of liquidity crisis happening with especially regional banks. They need this money. And so the Fed is repoing in money randomly, morning, noon, and night, over the course of the last month, when it hadn't done anything in the last few years, which is real concerning. Now, you probably remember the bank failures in March of 2023. You had Silicon Valley Bank. Who else? We had Signature Bank, First Republic Bank, Republic First Bank, Philly, Silvergate Bank. You had the Voyager Crypto Bank go belly up. Are you really going to trust your money, your cash, in these banks? They could go under overnight, which is another reason we push the physical silver. You can hold it. You're the custodian of real assets rather than these paper assets. These banks don't even have the money to cover when there's a run by people trying to get their money out. So, you've got these confluence of events. You've got the Fed repo. Now you have monstrous orders coming out of the East, like the huge order out of South Korea. Then you have the Japanese carry trade, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard about. For decades, Japan had basically 0% interest rates. And so international bankers and Japanese investors would borrow money from the Japanese treasury, and then they'd come buy US T-bills, and they'd make, basically it was a money glitch. They'd make a free 5-7%. You'd use it too, right? If you could borrow $1 and then make $1.50 on it. But Japan has all of a sudden spiked their interest rates to protect their own currency. Meanwhile, the US is cutting rates again. So there's no money to be made there anymore. And people are losing confidence in US treasuries. So all of this kind of plays into this silver market going up and up.
Right. Well, you've got the Fed that, when did they end quantitative tightening? Was it December 1st?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So they ended that. So what does that mean they're doing? They're turning on the money printer. So they're going to print more fiat. I believe Jerome is out in January, right?
Yeah.
And so
we'll get a fiscal dove coming in.
Right. And that's what I was saying. So then the president's going to put someone in there. He wants 0% interest rates. Back during his first term, he talked about negative interest rates. So who knows what they're going to do? And I don't know if everyone knows this, but to get the bond prices to drop, they have to get in it and purchase those. So that's more money printing, or I shouldn't even say money, more fiat printing. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sure these metals are sniffing out what's going on. Gold and silver are a bellwether to what's going on with the fiat system. So I think there's going to be tons and tons of printing. And from what I understand, the amount they're going to have to print to get down to zero or near zero is going to make '08 look like a walk in the park. So sure. That's why I stack these metals. Gold is, more stable, but I think the reason why I do silver is it is money, but it's strategic. It's a precious metal. It's money, and the U.S. just made it a critical mineral. Russia made it a critical mineral. Mm-hmm. China made it a critical mineral, and it may be strategic, critical, whatever term they use. But everyone is waking up and realizing, wow, there's not as much of this out there, and there's no way to bring more silver online quickly. And so the only fix is to raise the price.
Sure. Well, the bankers, they had a good deal going for 5 decades, and even before, we were talking about the 1873 silver theft by the U.S. government, which is a whole nother rabbit hole. But they had a good deal with these future contracts, and we were talking about this earlier. there was just a WikiLeaks document that leaked about a State Department memo that basically said that the gold futures contracts, which were invented in 1974, were an instrument to manipulate gold pricing. If they could increase the amount of volatility in the gold markets, people would be less apt to hold physical gold. And they did the same thing with silver. I believe it was 1971 that they introduced silver futures contracts. Gold was 74, I believe. And so these bankers have they've made billions and billions and billions over the last 50 years, selling futures, running the price down paper-wise, and not having the physical metal to back it up. Well, now you have international markets, and you have China and India and huge investors standing for delivery. I believe it was a few days ago, somebody stood for a 44 million ounce delivery of silver. Typically what they would do is they would buy these future contracts, they'd make profit on them, or they would go down. But if they made profit, they would just roll it into the next month. Well, they didn't roll the contracts this time. They stood for delivery. And coincidentally, you have the CME had this major outage on Sunday night.
Right.
And so they just turned the switch off. So, sorry, we lost power. So it gave them time to scramble, get more Fed liquidity injection, and possibly cover these APs that are standing for delivery. So
yeah. So I called Bill the day that happened, and I said, I'm sorry, Bill Holter. He's been on the channel. If you don't know who that is, check him out. He's on people's YouTube channels all the time. But anyways, I was like, what's going on? And so he said, I'm hearing this, and he talked about that entity that was standing for delivery. But he was like, it's rumor right now, so don't put it out there. But he said something broke in the system is what he told me. He said, whether it's this or something else, but he said, this is not normal. Something broke. And then what was it? The other day we had a 6% move in a day, which I don't know if that's the largest in history, but that's a 2% move in a day is big. So 6% was, that's probably
it's trading like a tech stock.
Right. That's probably a historical move.
Sure.
But yeah, I was watching another thing I wanted to mention. I was watching Egon von Greers, really smart guy. He's over from somewhere in I don't know, Great Britain. I don't know where he's from. But anyways, he owns a huge gold vaulting company. And what he was saying about silver is now everyone's figuring out they need the physical. You can't use paper to build solar panels. You can't use paper to put in all these electronics. And so the world has woken up, and I think everyone is scrambling.
Sure, and we've talked about the data centers, the AI, all this build out. We're in Central Texas. It's monstrous. You go by the Tesla gigafactories, Samsung, all the chip companies that are all over, and they're just building. They need the most conductive metal on earth to be able to do these build outs. Also, they need energy. How are they going to get it? It's not going to be from the wind farms out in West Texas that stop spinning after 3 years. It generates 3 or 5% of Texas energy. They're talking about nuclear power plants being built. So each new nuclear power plant requires 4 million ounces of silver. And then they have to replace the rods every 5 years. There are currently 440 nuclear power plants worldwide, and they're going to build another 170. With the 170, you're talking, almost over 600 million ounces of silver per year. The annual production is only 830 million ounces a year for silver. Where is the silver going to come from? People are reading the writing on the walls right now. And especially these countries that are industrializing a lot faster than the U.S. You're talking about China and South Korea and some of the Eastern countries, they know this is a critical mineral, and that's why they are accumulating, and they're actually using the fraud by JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank and these that are artificially keeping silver pricing low to buy on the cheap. So, you know, what they're doing with the futures contracts and the spoofing and the shorting and all that by keeping these prices low, they are actually helping our quote unquote enemies like China, Russia, etc., accumulate cheap silver.
Yeah, it was. I think it was India. Maybe one that you were searching for, but yeah, they want to electrify like China is with all these solar panels, and so right now solar panels are cheap relative to what they're gonna get. So they're I'm sure they're trying to accumulate as much as they can at these prices. That way they have their stockpiles. All these different industries. Probably Apple and Tesla, they're probably backing up the truck too, putting this stuff back if they're smart, because they know that they need this stuff. And yeah, the smart money is waking up. That's what I do. I'm trying to do what the smart money is doing. And unfortunately, here in the West, I think most Americans are still asleep to this. I had an interesting phone call with Jeremiah today. JB, he has a channel. Go check his out. I'm sure you've seen him on the channel or me on his. But what he was saying is he has a buddy that's in the pawn shop business, and he said people are just selling, and they're selling to make ends meet. And I told him, and he's like, dude, I think so too, but what they could be doing is everything that's going on, they're wiping out the middle class, the little guy. All these people are turning in all their silver. So instead of saying, hey, turn in your silver, we'll pay you for it, like they did with gold, and I guess they did it with silver too. I watched a video today and I was like, wow, I didn't realize they did that. But they had Americans turn in silver as well. But this could be a way they're inflating everything in our lives to where people are having to resort to selling all their silver. And so
they can steal.
So then they're picking up all this silver, and because the U.S. now that it's a critical mineral, they're going to have to buy. They have to get their hoard of silver. Sure. So it may not be that, but it was just like, wow, that's a way to strip even more true wealth from the American public.
Yeah, and it's not new. We talked about it earlier. 1873, silver was a major currency in this country, and overnight the bankers put us onto a gold standard and basically erased silver as a currency. And then you had what happened in 1933 with FDR and basically the real guy who was president, which is Henry Morgenthau Jr., basically told Americans to turn in all their gold at a nominal price. A year later, they repriced gold, and all those Americans that turned in their gold lost out on 75% profit of that gold. Then you had LBJ in the early 60s, 64, remove all the silver from all the coinage. And then we went to copper and nickel coinage because they needed that silver. The price of a nickel or a quarter or a dime at that point was worth more than the currency. So, yeah, I mean, this is another interesting way to suck actual critical mineral out of people's pockets.
Yeah, so my advice to you is don't get scared by these pullbacks. It's actually healthy. I guess I should be asking you. You're the charts guy, but from everything that I understand, we want pullbacks. We want consolidation, because if it goes straight up, it's just going to come straight down. So we want to establish that base and then move higher. But I think 50, we definitely have established that as a floor, right? Or
yeah, it appears so. If we can maintain this momentum this week, it's a launch pad. Yeah. Again, we're coming out of a 50-year cup and handle pattern, incredibly bullish, breaking through these double tops in 1980, and then when was the last one? 2014 or whatever that was. but we're breaking through these tops, and it's only accelerating. I mean, on the hourly chart, we're in another small cup and handle that just broke through tonight after they tried to bust it down this morning. And you know, we've got futures here at 59.50 as we speak. So they can't keep this thing down.
That's awesome.
They can't use the old tricks anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, and I could be wrong on this, but I've always been of the opinion that they've suppressed it down, and then once this thing breaks, they're gonna manipulate it to the upside. I could be wrong on that, but I think the sky is going to be the limit, because there's only so much out there to mine, and we're consuming it faster than it can be produced. And I mean, we have to have it. Probably 90% of our technology, everything that we have today, would not be here without silver. So I could be wrong on this, but I think there could be a point where silver is actually more valuable in fiat than gold. But you know, I could be wrong on that. But
I think there's definitely room for more potential silver-wise.
Sure.
I do hold some gold as well, but silver's the focus, and physical silver, of course. Trade in and out of some miners, and avoid SLV like the plague, but you've got silver junior miners, SILJ, some of those ETFs kind of trade in and out, but your focus definitely should be on the physical silver.
Cool. Do you have anything else that you wanted to cover, or?
I think that wraps it up. Please come see my channel, Full Bore Silver, and again, wanted to give a huge thank you, shout out to Texas Silver here, and those associated with Aaron, Bill Holter, and Jeremiah Babe, and some of the others that I follow. Try to aggregate as much information as possible out of these channels, add my own spin to it.
Yeah.
And keep stacking.
Cool. Yeah, I'll try and remember to put a link to your channel down there, but Full Bore Silver, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think he's going to end up uploading this video to his channel as well. It's getting late, so we were going to make 2 videos, but I got doing groceries and whatever, so it's getting late. I got to be up at 4:30 a.m., so I'm going to upload this here, but yeah, come check out his channel. He is probably going to be a lot more consistent with his videos. He's got a little bit more time, I think, than I do. Me having a full-time job, it's hard, 60 hours a week. You know, he does some day trading, morning hours, and then your work day's pretty much done, right?
I've got some real estate commitments and a couple other things going on, but I really keep an eye on these markets and the technical analysis. So going to try to kick out these videos and have it as polished as Texas Silver.
Yeah, well, it used to be a mess. I'm getting better, but So yeah, come check out his channel. Thanks for being here. Like, subscribe, share, do all those things. Thanks for being here. God bless. And I guess until the next one.
Yeah.
Peace.
Take care.